Hey up YouTube, right, doing another quick rigging up video. This time it's going to be the pulley rig. I'll be making a pulley pennel, but that doesn't mean that to say that that's the only way this rig works. So I'll roll the credits and I'll show you the components. I'll see you in a sec. Oh, this one is going to be using Trident components, but I'll mention things that can be swapped out for other makes and brands and bits and bobs as we go. See you in a sec. Okay guys, so the pulley rig. What could be simpler than the pulley rig? Nothing that I know of is the answer to that, apart from maybe a two-hook flapper when you're using crimp swivels. Who knows? So equipment, or what I'm going to be using now, these are going to be vastly exaggerated pulley rigs compared to what I normally use on the Links coast. Reason being is I'm planning a trip up to Scotland in November, and I'm just going to pre-tie some rigs for that. Normally on the Links coast I would tie these with a 3/0 and a 2/0 pennel, but in this instance I'm not, and I'll come to the hooks in a minute. So what I'm using today is some ASSO Ultraflex in £70, and then that's my rig body, and then my hook snood is going to be some Oblivion, which I believe is also ASSO, yeah, ASSO Oblivion, and that's a £30 line. And then for the rig components, I've got a standard power swivel. You could use a smaller £45 swivel if you wanted to. I'm going to use a power swivel. And like I said, this is a Trident one. So I'm using a Trident roto. Okay. And because I don't know what sort of ground we're going to be fishing over, and because I've got lots of them in at the moment, I'm going to use the Trident Dynaform. Now you could, if you were fishing over rougher ground, use the aero pulley. You can see the difference in there. It actually, the line actually goes through in a figure of 8, and what that does is it holds the lead up off the bottom better when you're reeling in and things like that. The Dynaform is a little bit looser, well, a lot looser, and is fine for smooth ground. Like I said, don't know what I'm going to be fishing in, so I'll tie options. Over time I will tie options. The other option of course would be a what's this one called, a Gemini perfect pulley, or a pulley bead. Nothing wrong with them, perfectly fine. This one's a bit old and seized up, but it's fine for demonstration. I won't be using it anyway. And then obviously instead of the roto clip you could use a Gemini Imp, or you could use a standard, if I've got one to hand, a standard rig clip on the end. That's a matter of preference. I'm tying this with Trident gear because, as regular viewers know, I like Trident gear. Oh, and a Thermalink, which will serve as... which will serve as the bridge between the roto clip and the main line. Dear me, brain's not working, apologies. I've got Oblivion here. Ah, that's £25. I want the 30. Realise I got the £25 down as well. So I'm going to tie these with a 4-foot rig body. Okay. Where's my snips? Standard nail clippers. A 4-foot rig body. Now I always forget which way around this goes, and you'll notice with the Dynaform I'm not using any beads. It's one of the things I like about the Dynaform. You don't need to use beads with it because of the way it's built. With the pulleys, with the pulley beads and things like that, I tend to use beads just because it helps stopping it impacting your knots. But with the Dynaform you don't need any beads on with it. So we'll start with what will be... So I always struggle to picture in my mind which way around the pulley beads go, which way around the pennel rig goes, the pulley rig goes. So we'll start at the bottom with a Thermalink. 1, and I use just a uni knot. 2, 3. If you're interested in seeing how I tie the uni knot, I'll try and get some high visibility rope and show you. But I just use a 4-turn uni knot, pair of pliers just to grab the Thermalink with, cinch it down, tag a bit tighter, and this Oblivion line, not the Oblivion line, the ASSO Ultraflex really does pull down into a nice knot. It really does. It cinches down an absolute charm. Oh, look at that. And then we'll build the rig, which is, you know, as simple as that. Putting the Dynaform on. So the Dynaform, the pulley rig, if you're not familiar with it, the Dynaform goes to your main line. That goes to your lead. And this end's going to have the swivel on it, which is where the hook snood's going to go. Now you can get a little bit more fancy with the pulley rig, but the main reason that a lot of people love the pulley rig is it's so simple. It's simplicity. You know, you don't get too upset if you lose it, because it's got so few components, or can be built with so few components. You know, you've got a swivel, a Dynaform, a Thermalink, a roto clip, and a lead, and then obviously a hook and a hook. But that's it. That is the pulley rig in its entirety. But, well, that's the rig body in its entirety, should I say. But we need, obviously we're not going to catch any fish without a hook length. So I'm going to shoot for a 2-foot hook length on this, which is going to mean that your overall rig that you're sort of throwing out is going to be around about 3 foot once it's clipped down. You can go for a shorter snood. Now in summertime when I'm fishing for smoothies, I do tend to use a shorter overall rig. I'll generally go 3 foot and a 1 to 1.5 foot snood. It seems to work quite well for smoothies, but in winter time I tend to lengthen the rig body and the snood by a considerable amount, and it seems to work quite well for cod and whiting, which is all we get here in winter. But like I say, this particular rig and the few that I'm going to tie after it are solely for the trip up to Scotland. Once again, this is a rig I can tie to order. So, you know, if you want it setting up a particular way, if you want to buy some, I do sell them. You need to find me on Facebook and message me. And tell me how many rigs of how many types and what you want on them, and I'll do your price accordingly. Like I said, this one, I'm going for the biggest hooks I've ever used, which is going to be a 5/0 Sakuma Manta. Is it a Manta Extra? Just a Manta. Oh, what the difference between Manta and Manta Extra is. And a 4/0 Sakuma Manta Extra behind it. Once again, you can get quite fancy with how you put these guys on. More specifically, the pennel hook. I know fellas that use bits of silicone tubing to help lock it into place, but I'll show you what I do. You know, it works just well for me. I suppose it depends really how much usability or reusability you want to get out of your rig. So we'll slide on the pennel hook first of all, and you want to go through the back of the eye. That way the line forces the hook into the fish's mouth. You tend to find with the pennel rig, actually, you get more hookups on the bottom, on the second hook, on the pennel hook, than you do on the top hook, the first hook. Once again, no fancy knots with this one, not like the Paternoster using the circle hooks. No fancy knots. I'll just fasten my hook on using a uni knot. Cinch it down. Job's a good one. And the rig really is that simple. It really is that simple. Now obviously I've still got the tag ends to clip off, but in the interest of trying to keep videos, these series of videos short, I'm not going to bore you with me cutting some tag ends off, but I'll show you how I use the rig. So you've got the bottom hook and the pennel hook sitting behind it. So you put your bait on the line. So your bait's on the line, and then instead of using a piece of rig tubing, you just wrap the top hook, the pennel hook, 3 or 4 times, then put it through the back of your bait. I like to have my opposing directions. Put it through the back end of your bait, and there you go. It's not going anywhere, doesn't travel anywhere, and then you clip that down into your roto. I didn't actually check. I know some people say that the roto hook struggles with bigger hooks, but it's holding this one just fine. And that's how, obviously with a bait on, it looks when you're casting it, when you're sending it. You know, there's your pulley, your swivel, sorry, and your pulley. And it's as simple as that. It's a lightweight, low cost, low worry rig, and it'll catch pretty much anything that eats near the bottom. You can embellish it, you can put beads on it, you can put floating beads on it, you can put, like I said, rig tubing on it instead of wrapping the line around the bottom hook. But that is the basic pulley rig. You do not get much more basic than that, as far as I'm aware. So without further ado, guys, that's it. That's the pulley rig. Hope you enjoy. So this is going to be a short series of sort of 3 or 4 rigs that I use regularly. Yeah, like, share and subscribe. I'll see you next time.